Well, welcome back, Whistle Watchers. How are you all? As always, this is the place to be to discuss all rugby matters from a very exciting and immense first weekend of international rugby as well. So, let's get into it. So, let's go to Allianz Stadium for England-New Zealand. Not much for Angus Gardner to deal with in this game, actually, but at the end of the game, we saw a little bit of talking points to discuss about. So what we have Anton Lienert-Brown, who is yellow carded for an off-the-ball tackle. Now, off-the-ball tackles are not always yellow card, but because of the trend in this game, it was deemed to be a yellow card, so no issues with that. Now, the TMO then rightly identifies the same player previously has been part of a head-on-head contact. So he's upright and we have head contact, so we now enter the threshold of foul play. Now they look at it and it is a yellow card in itself. So a lot of you will be asking, okay, so he's had one yellow card, now we have another yellow card, so why is it not a red card? A very, very good point. And you may have a case for that, but in this instance, the TMO and the officials, the referee deals with this very, very well, and they feel that a yellow card was sufficient and no need to have a double yellow for a red card. And I would tend to agree with that because, as we said, the off the tackle can be a yellow card or sometimes it's not. So taking that into account, a yellow card was sufficient. Now, what you would have heard over the weekend as well, when the referee is making these big decisions, particularly with the involvement of the TMO, it is heard over the tannoy all through the stadium. And that is something really, really positive because everybody in the stadium now can clearly hear and see the actions of exactly why a decision is made. You may not always agree with it, but then you can understand why. So a really good positive thing to the game there. A little bit of a trend in this game because we now see another off-the-ball tackle by Sam Cane. So again, the team officials identify this and really, really good management by the referee now in identifying that this is becoming a bit of a trend. Hence, why we had the yellow card to Anton Lienert-Brown for it, because it was a trend in the game. So really, really good teamwork, good identification of the offence and trend and management of it as well. So we have a wonderful try scored by Buden Barrett, but the referee now goes back to have a look at if there was a deliberate knock-on by Caleb Clark. Now this is really, really good refereeing, a good management of it, because he lets play go on. So he lets the try to be scored, then go back to check. Because imagine if you'd have blown up, gone back to check what you thought probably was a deliberate knock-on or may well have been, and you decide, oh, it's not, then you would have not allowed him to score the try. So good management, let the try scored, right, let's go and check this. And that means if there was an offence by Caleb Clark here, then obviously the try is chalked off. And yes, there was. So there is no doubt that it's a deliberate knock-on, so we definitely have a penalty. Now the next argument is, should it be a yellow card? And it is a 50-50 one. So if the referee feels there's a line break on here and I think this is cynical, then yes, it would have been a yellow card. If the referee feels not quite sure, not for me, not 100% convinced, then we would go with the penalty only. So 50-50 on the yellow card. On another day, it may well have been a yellow card. So one of those which can go either way, down to the referee interpretation and the reading of it at the time. Let's head up to Murrayfield now then, and a fellow Welshman, Craig Evans, in charge of this game. A few things for him to deal in the game, and one very, very early on. So what this means is, as a referee, you've got to be switched on from the kickoff, because sometimes you look at things that will happen in the second half and big talking points, but sometimes it can happen early in the game. So you've got to be in the speed and the rhythm of the game. So we have a deliberate knock-on called by the officials here and a yellow card issued. Now, I have to be honest, the Fijian player is a little bit unlucky here because he seems to be making a genuine attempt to try and get that ball, but because the force of the pass, it comes off and it ricochets forward and then he's not able to regather it. But his actions were to catch the ball. So what we are saying is that there was not a deliberate knock-on. So in this instance, it should have been just a knock-on and not a deliberate knock-on and yellow card. Then, just a little bit later on, we have a big decision to make again. So, Ewan Ashman scores a try for Scotland. Good work with the TMO. He comes in here and he identifies that there may well have been obstruction. So what we have here, when you leave the maul with that ball, you as a ball carrier have to be the first man leaving. So you can't have your players bound onto you in front or going up in front of you to prevent somebody getting at the ball carrier. So in this instance here, great work with the TMO, identifying that Schumann has gone in front. He's prevented a would-be tackler getting at the ball carrier, and for that reason, a correct decision to chalk off the try. If Schumann would have been behind or to the side and not interfered with the defender, then the try would have stood. So great teamwork there. Now we have another try disallowed for Scotland. This time it's Hugh Jones. Now, he's tackled short of the line. Now, what can you do? Well, what he can do, if momentum carries him over, not a problem. Everything is fine. Or if he's tackled short and then his next movement, he can immediately reach out and score the try without propelling himself forward. So remember, momentum. If momentum takes you forward, it's fine. But if you propel yourself forward and then reach out, so you're making a double movement is what we call it, then that is not allowed. So again, good work with the team here. TMO identifying this as well, coming in and they look at it and they quite rightly so disallow the try because of that movement, because of that second movement. Two movements by Hugh Jones, who does reach the try line, but double movement in doing that. So quite rightly so, good teamwork again, and the try is correctly chalked off. And that's it for the roundup of the talking points in the game. Now let's get into my favourite part of Whistle Watch, which involves you, our Emirates fans questions. Hello Nigel, we miss your involvement in top rugby. Oh, very kind of you, thank you. On scrums, have you watched an 80s rugby video lately? I watched South Africa Currie Cup final from 1987. I was 13 and my team lost to NAS both. Notable that scrums never reset. Scrummy put ball in straight and hookers hooked. Away, all the good old days. Yeah, you are right. Back then, the scrums weren't always tidy, but they were messy, but the ball went in and the ball came out. So things have changed a lot. We have a lot of good scrummaging now, a lot of work to do again to make the scrums better. But one thing I do agree with you is that the feeding in of the scrum is an issue, as a lot of you are bringing up, and the hookers never strike the ball. So my advice would be, let's get the scrum half to put the ball in the middle and let's get the hookers back hooking, and that may well help bring about a bit better scrummaging. Hello from Brecon, Nigel. Oh, lovely place, Brecon. With the announcement of Joe Marler retiring, I've always wondered what it would be like to ref him, hoping you can help us with this. He was a character. I always enjoyed refereeing him, but he was always up to something. And I mean in a mischievous way, or always laughing if I was to penalise him. He'd smile and say, oh, it's a bit harsh, Nige. And I would say, no, it's not. And he would then just wink. When Jamie Roberts went to play for Harlequins, he was teaching Marler a bit of Welsh. So every time I refereed England, I'd go into the change rooms and Joe Marler would come up, Nigel, bore da. The only problem was it was a 7 o'clock kickoff in the night, so it should have been no star. So he was one of the great characters of the game and a very, very good player as well, and always enjoyed refereeing him. And I got to say, he did make me smile and chuckle to myself on many occasions. So Joe, all the best with your retirement. Seeing the referee announcing the decision of the PA system this weekend had me thinking about if you would have enjoyed it, Nigel. Do you wish you would have had the chance to explain some of your decisions maybe? That's a good question, that is now. Well, I always used to explain my decisions, so I don't think anything would have been any different. I think what you're seeing with the referees now, I don't think the referees are explaining because they know you're listening. They know you are, obviously, but they're still explaining what would they have done before. The only difference is now that you can actually hear them. So, I don't know, some of my decisions did make the players chuckle a few occasions. I wonder if it would make you in the stadium chuckle. Or boo, who knows? We'll never know. But it's something very positive to add to the game. Thank you, as always, for your Emirates fans questions, and you can send them in on World Rugby socials, or you can send them on to me on my socials as well, and I look forward to answering them. We'll see you next week with more of them. Now, we've already touched on some of, or one of the law changes, which is you're hearing the referee's voice in the stadium explaining decisions, which I believe a lot of you do like and is a positive thing for the game. Let's look at some other changes now, and some of them have got you talking and a big debate about them. So let's start with the 20-minute red card. The important thing to remember here is that a referee can still give a red card in the game. And if the referee gives a red card, that is it. You are off for the rest of the game and nobody will be replacing you after 20 minutes. So what is a 20-minute red card? Well, it's more to do with technical offences rather than acts of dangerous foul play. So let's imagine if you headbutt somebody, you kick somebody in the head or whatever it may be, then it's a red card, you're off, and that's it for the rest of the game. Nobody will replace you. For a technical offence, where they believe it may be it's not deliberate or it's not intentional, but it may well reach the red card threshold, which means that they believe it does, or certainly is the yellow card threshold, maybe a red, then they'll send it then to the bunker. They will have a look at it and then they upgrade it then to a red card. If that happens, it means that after that 20 minutes is up, that player will be off for 20 minutes and for the rest of the game, but they will be able to replace that player who has been now sent off with a red card with another player to bring the game back up to 15 against 15. So this is a big change in the game as we know it, and one that has really divided a lot of you. What do you think about the 20-minute red card? Do you like it? Is it good for the game or not? Let me know what you think. Right, let's look at the changes then that have been brought up to speed up the game. The countdown clock additions and adaptations. So we already do have a shot clock in place, but there's been a few little changes. So, for example, shot a goal, penalty is still 60 seconds. No change there. But the conversion, in the past you had 90 seconds after the try was awarded. Now it is 60 seconds, just the same as the penalty. So once the try is awarded, 60 seconds to take that conversion. If you go over the 60 seconds, then the conversion is void. Scrum clock. 30 seconds here, 30 seconds from when the referee makes the mark. So he's making the mark, the scrum is going to be here. There are 30 seconds now for the players to come together to set up the scrum. Again, a positive thing, a positive change to try and get the scrum set up, because what we're getting annoyed at, a lot of you getting annoyed at, is sitting there and waiting, get on with it, get the scrum formed. So of course, player safety is paramount, we have to get things right, but let's do it a little bit quicker. So 30 seconds on the scrum, and line out as well. So line out must be formed within 30 seconds when the assistant referee signals the mark, the same as the referee signaling the mark for the scrum. So some big changes there. As I said, let me know in the comments what you think about the 20-minute red card, and let me know what you think about the stop clock as well. But I would assume that that is going to help speed up the game, so that is a good change for the game. And that's it for this week. I'll be back next week to answer your Emirates fans questions and discuss the talking points in Whistle Watch as well. Till then, bye-bye.